Halo, if you didn't already know, is a big epic sci-fi first-person shooter series, and Halo Reach is not only Bungie's, the developer, last Halo game, but they actually turned it into a sci-fi prequel that works, unlike Star Wars. They took the lessons that the studio has learned from making Halo 1, 2, 3, and ODST and turned it into their best Halo game. One of the big factors I like is the story is actually a little bit more accessible and not as inundated with Halo jargon and technobabble. It is simply, what I say is the Battle of Thermopylae, which is the battle that the movie 300 is based on. It is that in space. It is what happens when you have a small group of elite badasses called Spartans have to fight against basically losing odds against a massive enemy invasion. And what they do influences what's going to happen in Halo 1 through 3 ultimately.
Beautiful, ain't it? Someone should take a picture. Nice work.
The story in Halo, there's a bit more expansiveness and there's a bit more large scale. Like there's actually a pretty cool moment where in part of the campaign, you feel like you're in part of a big war because you're destroying some anti-aircraft installations that the Covenant have set up. And once you destroy those, you know, 2 UNSC frigates, which are basically giant battleships from space, come in and basically carpet bomb the area in front of you. So it's almost like in a military game it would be the equivalent of calling in like a, you know, AC-130 Hercules, but instead like the way Halo does, like, okay, in a sci-fi war, you don't just call in a big airplane, you call in 2 giant spaceships.
UNSC air support, skies are clear.
The story is pretty good, and what I like is that it also is married to much more refined gameplay. Like Bungie has always talked about a combat sandbox. They took like the better weapons, tools, and enemies from throughout past games and simply made better combat experience. You simply are given a mission and like an area and you have to figure out your own way to how to do it. So it's almost like a GTA game in that respect, but purely based on combat. Like, do I go in with long distance weapons to kind of sneak around? Do I use more close combat melee and grenades kind of thing? Using all those tools against a more refined enemy AI just makes combat feel really, really good compared to previous Halo games.
Incoming. Looks like you really pissed him off.
One thing I really appreciate about Halo's combat more than other shooters is that it's almost not unfair. There are difficulty spikes on occasion that makes you go like, what? How the hell did that guy throw a grenade from like 400 meters away right in my face? That comes up on occasion, but most of the time, like a very good action game that's very skill based, the reasons I die is usually because I screwed up. It's something I messed up. It's not the game being cheap, it's simply I didn't do the right thing that I should have done. I should be a better player. I tended to originally just play some multiplayer death matches and move on in my life, but I appreciate all the menus in multiplayer simply because there are a lot of variables and things you could customize to make custom matches. So in addition to a lot of default kind of game types like headhunters, where every time you shoot someone, they drop a skull and you have to collect all the skulls to win the match, or firefight, where you have where you and a buddy fight against waves of enemy AI, you can then take each of those modes and do a lot of quick fiddle some knobs in the background, just change some variables and just make totally new game types to kind of freshen the experience.
Double kill. Reinforcements.
Even though there are lots of variables, there are also a lot of default modes to play out. I actually particularly like not only Firefight, which is the horde, like, you know, players versus AI mode. I like versus Firefight more, which is 2 versus 2, 2 players play the Covenant and 2 players play Spartans. The Spartans are still trying to just score points by shooting Covenant AI and Covenant players. The Covenant players are trying to prevent the Spartans from scoring, so there's this dynamic of one side is basically griefing the other side to try to make sure they don't score as much as possible. And it's kind of, it's an interesting little tweak, but when you actually play the game, it turns out to be really cool balance of team play and combat and just kind of fluid mechanics and level design. This is Bungie's last Halo game before they moved on to make other, new intellectual properties and franchises. And you can tell that this is the last hurrah for them. This is like, okay, we're going to be done with Halo, so we're going to go all out. And I've once said that I respected every Halo game. I've played them all, and I kind of move on my life. But this is the first game I actually genuinely love, and I just want to keep on playing over and over, which is why I give it an A+ in the end.